This is the Tasmanian tiger. The name is a misleading one because the animal is not actually cat-like at all, but rather much more dog-like, and not related to cats or dogs closely at all. We are therefore going to use its scientific name, which is thylacine. The thylacine was the iconic animal of its island home, Tasmania, an island off of an island near the icy southern end of the world. The thylacine is an extinct animal, recently extinct. The last one died in captivity in a zoo in the capital city of Hobart, Tasmania, in the year 1936. Their size, body structure, and movements are all actually quite dog-like, though they're not really canines at all. They're marsupials and much more related to kangaroos. When Aboriginal peoples migrated to Australia thousands of years ago, they noticed the thylacines and drew pictures of them on the walls of caves. However, thylacines were nowhere to be found on mainland Australia when European explorers and settlers arrived. They had been replaced by canines, which reached Australia only more recently, and with the help of early humans. Like kangaroos, they carried their babies in pouches, as do many animals in Australia, New Guinea, and Tasmania. These are remote island places where placental mammals like cats and dogs and you and I never lived until more recent times. Here is an image of a thylacine interacting with a dog outside the wire of its enclosure at the zoo. Two unrelated and yet similar species, examples of what's called convergent evolution. Thylacines were not very large animals. These images show you a thylacine with its handler. The animal appears to have been only about the height of the top of the handler's knee. Thylacines would stretch and yawn and do all the same sorts of things that other animals do, and you and I do. Living in confinement, thylacines would spend a lot of time lying around. As the iconic animal of a far-flung island, the thylacine had value to zoos and collectors. There were thylacine exhibits at the London Zoo and at the Berlin Zoo, though they never got the attention of the larger, more familiar animals of North America and Africa. In the early days of thylacines living in captivity, males and females would live together, and they were successfully bred in zoos. This is the last family of thylacines living in the Tasmanian Zoo around the year 1910. Though not much related to humans or to dogs at all, you can see that they're playful and social and curious. In this image, we see 4 young thylacines thinking, wondering what the human being is doing with this thing he's holding in front of his face, the camera. Life is amazing because it's as though there's an intelligence that's trying to emerge, and you can see it in this photo. I've seen the same look of intelligence and curiosity in other photos too, of people and even of my own dog. You'll never see the same sort of look in the eye and in the expression of a reptile. It's illustrative of how there's a consciousness and a level of depth of experiencing the world that is increased in living things across geologic time. I therefore see the thylacine as one of the many twisted paths and routes that nature has taken in its upward spiral towards a higher and deeper level of consciousness and awareness. In the past, zoos were more about exhibiting animals than anything else. There wasn't the value placed on species preservation that we have today. Furthermore, it appears that not all thylacines fared well in captivity. In any case, the world's zoos failed to maintain a captive population of thylacines. This image shows you what a thylacine may have looked like in the wild, though these images are still of enclosed thylacines. To our knowledge, there is no photo of a living thylacine in the wild, and the reasons are clear. Ranchers regarded it as a pest animal and a threat to livestock, and a bounty was placed on the life of every thylacine. Men would set up camps and live out in the Tasmanian forests, hunting and trapping them all day long, every day. Though the bounty was eventually lifted, thylacines still weren't safe. They continued to be shot as pest animals. This is an image of the last known thylacine ever to have lived in the wild, shot by this rancher in the year 1930. The thylacine is tied to a fence with twine around the neck and around the base of the tail in order to sort of pose it for this triumphant photo. This thylacine is the last of its kind, living in the Tasmanian Zoo in the 1930s. One day, his handler left him locked outside his shelter all day and all night long. Left out in the searing sun, followed by a very frigid night, the thylacine was found dead the next morning. It was a death from negligence. As an island-dwelling animal, the thylacine was more vulnerable to extinction than the animals of North America and Africa. But what's most chilling for me is that they were killed as pest animals and killed for money. The American buffalo was nearly hunted to extinction for its valuable fur and meat, but it had just barely enough places to hide to make it through the bottleneck of New World settlement. The thylacine carcasses were presumably discarded as waste after the bounty was handed out, though a few of them do remain in zoo collections. Intriguingly, a baby thylacine, pulled from the pouch of its slain mother, was preserved in fluid as a collector's item. And now, with today's amazing technology, the thylacine may have a chance to live again. Though much of the DNA is badly damaged, some of it is still intact. Luckily, the full genetic code of every living thing is present in every cell of its body. It's amazing to think about. This animal, both so admired and so let down by humans, could possibly be restored. It's amazing the way nature operates by information coding and the execution of that code, and that when humans have enough ability and know-how to assemble that code and to activate it, extinction can, in principle, be reversed.